Hi, and welcome to Augusta Outdoors. Everybody likes to see a bald eagle. It's one of the grand national symbols of our country. Clarks Hill Lake, which is where we are today, has quite a few bald eagles, but they've also had quite a few bald eagles up here turn up dead. In the past decade or so, 76 eagles have been found dead up here. Ken, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
How are you? What you looking at?
Oh, group of coots.
Yep. There are a lot of them down here this time of year. Lots and lots of them.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming out to talk with us today, and I guess the main thing we want to talk about is I understand over the last 10, 15 years you guys have picked up 76 dead eagles around this lake.
Yes, we have.
And it's not that people are shooting them or poisoning them, it's something that nature created, and that I guess you guys are trying to come up with a solution to resolve it. If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. It's all a result of an invasive plant that occurs here, native to India. The plant is Hydrilla, and there's actually a blue-green algae that occurs on the back of the leaf.
In other words, the Hydrilla found its way into the lake.
Yes.
And in this particular area, this blue-green algae grows on the Hydrilla?
It does.
How does it kill eagles?
Well, during the winter months, when the plant starts to die back, it actually produces a toxin. And as far as the timing goes, that process is occurring about the same time that the coots begin to migrate into Thurman. They overwinter here. We get thousands of them that live here on the lake during the winter months. Coots feed primarily on vegetation. They'll eat some other things
Coots
in
eat
addition
the
to
Hydrilla,
that, but primarily Hydrilla. Yes.
and then eagles eat the coots.
Yes.
And this condition is called, I understand it's called Avian Vacuolar Myelinopathy,
That's correct.
or AVM. And how does it kill? It's
Well,
I understand it basically it kills them from the inside out. It destroys their brain.
yes. This particular bacteria causes the brain to be impaired. It affects their motor skills. The birds are easy prey for eagles, owls.
So the sicker the
Hawks.
bird, the
Yes.
owls, the predators look for the easiest.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Just less of a time investment for the predators.
Okay.
Basically, consume the birds. In most cases, it includes the gut, which probably contains some hydrilla as well as bacteria, and it just kind of moves up the food chain. The bald eagles become sick, the owls, the hawks, whatever is consuming the bird.
And I remember, and this is going back 10 years or more, that when Hydrilla first started, getting a bigger foothold here, there were some efforts to use herbicides.
Yes.
And that was expensive. It was spot treating, so that wasn't a good way to get rid of it. And I understand that there's a new possible solution that may be on the horizon that's going to be at least looked at next year. Can you tell us about that?
Something that's been explored and been utilized in other locations from time to time is the introduction of grass carp, sterile grass carp.
Like you see on golf course ponds.
Yes. Herbicides were tried when it was initially discovered here. We had somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 acres when it was first discovered in 1995. Over about a 15-year period, that is increased probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 11,000 acres that are currently impacted in varying densities.
That's a lot of Hydrilla.
A lot of Hydrilla.
Okay. How many?
That equates to about 15% of the total acreage of 71,000 acres of water.
And to use grass carp, and I understand one of the good things about grass carp is that they're sterile before you put them in. So once their mission is accomplished, they die out. They don't take over and breed in the lake. But I know that the Corps, the states, you can't just randomly, dump off thousands of fish in a lake. What has to happen?
Well, there are a lot of concerns. Obviously, there are a lot of schools of thought on this, and they're kind of competing interests, if you will.
Sure.
Hydrilla, in a lot of respects, can be a good plant to have as a food source simply because of the biomass it creates. A lot of things feed on it.
Cover.
Cover for fisheries species.
So if there's a lot of their competing interest, and I guess you guys as the custodians of the lake, y'all are always in the middle.
One of the big concerns with the introduction of grass carp is especially from a fisheries or a waterfowl management perspective, is once they're done with the hydrilla, what are they going to move on to next? And with deep water basins like this, one of the kind of limiting factors is the presence or absence of vegetation.
Because once you get to a certain depth, it's just sand.
It disappears.
Okay.
It's a very invasive plant, very aggressive plant. It can, some figures quote it growing as much as an inch a day.
Mm-hmm.
It can grow in under very shallow conditions or very deep conditions in the lake, and it can be spread very easily on boat trailers, boat props, that kind of thing. It has a tendency to dry out a little bit, but it'll rehydrate once it's introduced into a new location and begin to spread.
So it's a very tenacious weed.
Yes.
And people should be careful what they move around.
And as I understand, it can even be passed through the gut of a lot of these birds and move that way.